Hey guys, this is just Tim at Spoken Word. I've been speaking about advocating for mental health and getting the word out there, putting out the stats, and putting my brand together in my campaign. My campaign is Preserve the Post. The goal is to utilize our resources to better our home in which we live, showcasing our resources through elaboration of our mental health state of mind through films, books, and charities. Uh, this is my this is basically my campaign to help people get an understanding of mental health and how it uh, it affects us in our day-to-day lives and how we have to change our ways to be able to look at the situation and elaborate ourselves to preserve ourselves. And this is my platform that I'm using right now is YouTube to get the word out there. Right now, the stats of mental health is 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness in a given year. 6.9% of adults had at least one major depressive episode in the past year. 18.1% of adults experience an anxiety disorder such as panic attacks and post-traumatic stress disorder. Uh, right now, I'm presenting a way for people of hardship to get life skills that will allow them to preserve themselves, depleting poverty through healing, creating, and prospering, starting inflation through building the intellect to inflation by understanding that we have to change our negative ways to our positive ways. We can't be talking down to each other and being negative and going after each other for reasons that has nothing to do with the other person. The fight is actually within your own mind, so you have to be able to get up on your own feet and be able to see the picture in your own heart and look in your own mirror and look at your own self so you can be able to put yourself in a position where you could be successful so you could pick somebody else up. It's not them that's bringing you down, it's you that's bringing yourself down. And you can't use your power or your status to bring other people down. You have to use it to pick people up. And while we're putting people down, we're not realizing that we are not looking at the whole picture of maybe they have a mental illness or maybe they're having a hard time looking at their own mirrors. So sometimes we have to change our tactics. Maybe you are trying to be hard on them so they can be stronger in certain areas, but sometimes you have to look at the picture and that maybe not be the right tactic. So we have to be able to at least look at the generation after us and to see what they did wrong and look at the generation behind us, and so they can be able to change what we were exposed to as we grew up with our parents and our grandparents, and be able to turn it around for them so they can be able to see the better picture of heaven, basically a better world which they can live in so they can have their kids in a better world than where we left it. So I've a little bit about myself. I grew up in Los Angeles. I'm the second of 4 kids, and I grew up in a Christian-based home, and I grew up learning about God and how He changes our life and how He was able to change my life looking at suicide. In my life, I've experienced suicide a few times in my life where I feel like I was not going to be able to make it in my life or become successful because I have comprehension problems, and a lot of kids that are like me, I wanted to be able to show that that they still can make it. You have to be able to be tenacious. You have to be able to look at yourself. You have to be able to change things that are not right and make them right. You have to be able to forgive people. You have to be able to act for forgiveness and realize that you do make mistakes. But when you make mistakes, you got to be able to strengthen yourself and encourage yourself to make it right, even though it may not feel right, even though it make you feel like you have anxiety, make you depressed. You have to make it right because that's the only way you're going to be able to move forward. And living in this world, not a lot of people make their wrongs right, and we tend to not trust each other. We have trust issues, and I've dealt with that within myself, and I still deal with it on the day-to-day basis, but I try to change it every day by changing myself and giving people a chance to be able to reveal themselves as I reveal myself, because I can't ask somebody to reveal themselves and I close myself in. You have to be able to be open. So I've been working as an advocate for a few years now. I've worked at the Inglewood Chamber of Commerce. I've done charities there, tour drives. I've done photography. I volunteered at Skid Row, donated toys, prepared food. Seeing my own family members go through schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety, it made me feel like I was going to be stuck in a box where I was going to be stuck exactly where they were and end up on the streets and end up where I wasn't going to be able to pick myself up. So I am pushing myself to be able to show people what I found, because I found peace within myself. So you be able to see that peace is actually real and peace is actually exists through God's word, because that's what I lived by to change myself and change my negatives and change change my insecurities and things within me that I thought I would never change or never see. Becoming a teacher, becoming a guide, becoming an advocate for people who feel like they can't make it. So putting this campaign, Preserve the Pulse, is my attempt to help people preserve themselves. It's in your elaboration. It's in your elaboration that gets you up on your feet. It's in your elaboration that you have to analyze. You have to analyze yourself. It's a day-to-day work. You have to be able to pick yourself up in areas that you never thought you would be able to see within yourself. So I am looking for volunteers. I am looking for sponsors. I work with NAMI Smart Urban, which is for advocating for mental health. I am going to be putting a charity event together, so be on the lookout for Preserve the Pulse. I am going to be elaborating more on how I've been speaking to unity, and I will be talking to you later. Thank you for listening.